Greetings, I'm Shad, and welcome to my historical evaluation of the castle within the medieval fantasy city Gran Soren from the video game Dragon's Dogma. And as just mentioned, this is a review of the castle itself, not the larger city surrounding it. So if you are interested in hearing my thoughts on the larger city, please do go watch that video after watching this one. Oh, and also a little heads up, there's a portion in this video where you'll get to see some of the gameplay of Dragon's Dogma. If you're not interested in that, please feel free to skip it, but I actually think it's quite entertaining to watch, and it only goes for a minute or so. Also, I have to apologize for the audio quality throughout the review. Running this game while also doing a screen capture pushed my CPU and GPU to its limit, and so the fan speed is causing a bit of background noise. That's just my computer on the verge of dying, but I've tried to clean up the audio as much as I can, and hopefully it won't distract too much. Here we have the castle within Gran Soren. Now, when you have a castle that is situated and connected to a city, it is called a citadel. So this is actually the citadel of Gran Soren. My observations here of the citadel is very much the same as my observations from outside the city. Almost the exact same type of gatehouse. We see a lowered portcullis blocking accessway. There are arrow slits, flanking towers, extended battlements up at the top, the walkways there, no matriculations in between the corbels, so there's a fail there, but the towers right there, they really do look like they have matriculations. Do you see how they're kind of looking like it's going up? It's very hard to see from this angle, I'm not sure, it looks like they're a bit blocked off, I don't know. But see the small kind of arches in between each corbel? There should be holes in between them to the ramparts that enemies can fire down on. Those are matriculations, and it's hard to see if they're there. I am actually not up to the point in the story with this character where you gain access to the inside of the castle. So, I am going to have to load one of my other characters. And here is the other character I loaded to try and get access to the castle, but unfortunately, this character is in endgame content, meaning when you try and get access to the castle, you get attacked on sight because of things that have happened in the plot of the game. So I can't show you the castle with this character either. And I know my other character is on endgame content, so there's only one other character who might be able to be at the right part in the game where you get to explore the castle. Alright, well the fact that I leave all my other characters in endgame content has actually meant that none of my characters have access to the castle. So it turns out I'm going to have to play a couple of hours of Dragon's Dogma to get to the right point in the game where I can show you guys the castles. You know, because that's such a sacrifice that I have to make. Play my favourite game. It's not a sacrifice, but I have played this game to death. My goodness, I played over 100 hours of this thing when I was on the PlayStation. When it came on the computer, well, I've just played it to death again. But to get it done quickly, I'm going to need some higher powered companions. Let's go get them. So the issue is my character is only on level 26 and I'm playing on the hardest difficulty. So to get it done quickly, I will pick up some of the higher level pawns from my other characters, and I don't need to pay the Rift Crystals, even though I've got 203,000. But Morgana, she's a great healer, I'll grab her. And the Goddess, she belongs to my highest level character. She is level like 120 something, I think. Oh, sorry, she's level 163. She'll help out. Oh, hello. When it gets a bit drafty, you might be in a bit of trouble, milady, but at least you have a shield to protect thyself. Alright, I have my companions and we're all ready to set off. Funny thing, they're all girls. And that's something you'll notice about Dragon's Dogma. Most of the companions are all girls, because guys are the ones who play it, and if you want your pawn to be hired, higher chances to get them hired if you make them as a girl. Funnily enough. I certainly have no complaint. I don't mind enjoying the view while I'm playing a video game. There's Shadow Fort. Another castle that I could review, but that's for another video. Try to get done the first one. Are you the captain, or your men are in a sorry state? Shape them up! This place is very holy, but not because of righteousness, because it's got holes everywhere.
And here we are, the castle or citadel of Gran Soren. Now, to the untrained eye, the keep might look perfectly fine, and in regards to the smaller elements like the battlements and arrow slits and even the corbels and matriculations, those are all perfectly fine. I don't know if the matriculations are filled in or not, but all the smaller details are spot on. We even see arrow slits on the merlons up at the towers. This is all really good. But there's actually a significant problem here, a problem that I have noticed in a lot of fantasy castles, but not the ones that have come up in my reviews just of yet. Gran Soren's keep is making the same mistake that you see on Candlekeep from the classic Baldur's Gate. They've made it into a tiered kind of structure, meaning there is a smaller square or keep sitting on top of a larger square. The issue about this is a matter of load points. What is holding up this smaller square? The only way to actually architecturally make a castle like this is that this smaller square portion of the keep that's sitting on top of the larger one, the footprint that this would have on the walls and towers need to run all the way down through the larger square to the ground, because the only thing that can hold up this smaller part are the walls itself. The mistake that so many castle designs have when they do this kind of design is that they don't have the walls running all the way through. Nothing is holding up this center part. So we can see the smaller square part just above the larger one, and I'm going to try and get an angle on where these walls will be coming down, and we'll go inside and see if there's anything there. Doesn't look like it. The round tower part should be coming down right about here on that second square, and the other tower should really be sitting right here. But there's nothing there, there's nothing holding it up. Now, I think the reason why people do this design, having kind of like a tiered, castle with smaller square parts going in and up, is because they're like Disney design castles where in profile, when you look at it from a distance, they get taller the more you go inwards. Well, this look can be achieved without doing such inefficient castle-like designs, and I actually speak more on this in other castle reviews. The internal layout of the keep is utterly nonsensical. The internal rooms are not matching the curvature or run of the external walls. This square room here is actually located right at the side tower, and it should be circular. Now the issue here, because you could technically make a castle like this, but the amount of wasted space is just criminal.
Also, look at how thin some of these side walls are, where the internal rooms are pressing right up almost to the border of the external barriers.
This keeps internal skeleton, okay, and I'm not calling it the internal layout. The skeleton is the core stone structures, parts of the internal layout that have to be there to support the external design. And so this keep skeleton would have to look like this. Now, there are ways to try and get some more room on the lower levels, and that is by putting in archways along the walls that would be supporting the smaller square portion that we see on the outside. Look at the back towers, they're completely filled in, pure stone, there's no rooms there at all. Now you could do that, but it would be a huge amount of wasted space, and of course, by what is evident from the areas you can access, it's actually, there are no rooms at all on those towers all the way up. You can't get access to them, they're all blocked off. Now if we have a look at the stairs that lead to this kind of back watchtower, which is actually the Queen's quarters, or the boudoir, well, the stairs that lead to them are just kind of cut out right here, where it would make so much more sense to have the stairwell inside this side tower. But no, it's just kind of... So it's like the castle design here. They have designed the outside, filled the inside with complete stone, and then just chucked rooms wherever is convenient for the internal layout, not matching them up, the internal layout to the external layout at all. Completely ridiculous. From the design so far, there is absolutely no way to get access to any of these towers or parapets, to the battlements. Like, they're just completely blocked off, so makes them rather useless. Now, is that just a limitation in the game design? They didn't want to have to model the whole thing? Yeah, possibly, but there's not even any blocked off doorways that indicate there's a way to get up to these other areas. Now, let's have a look at the internal layout, and just if we were to pretend for a small moment that the internal layout and the external design actually matched, is the internal layout any good? Well, there are good parts and bad parts. I like that they have this separate kind of entry hall here. Now, generally, there would be doors locking off this entryway with murder holes above, and this would be kind of like a kill zone for the enemy. When they're trying to bust through the first door, they get here, all the other doors are barred off, and then there would be murder holes to try and take out the bad guys, because castles, layers of defense and redundancies. If the enemy breaks through one area, you want another way to try and be able to repel them. So this small entry room is pretty good. Hallways leading to servant quarters, kitchens and rooms. Yeah, this is pretty good. Odd that there is such a kind of big division between this wall here and the next room over, meaning it's just a huge chunk of stone. You can put in several rooms here, and there's a lot of wasted space in this layout. Leading into the Great Hall. Now, the Great Hall is pretty beautiful. I love the, attention to detail. Like, look at this stonework here and the arches and the supports, the banners. It's beautiful. A gorgeous feature window at the back, bringing in light into this room. Excellent. The thing that I find odd about it is that the main stairway access to the upper part of this castle is right behind the Lord's chair. So when the Lord is holding court or whatever, and the servants and stuff need to get, up to the next level, they'd just be in the background. Oh, sorry, my Lord, I just need to go up the stairs. Very, very weird. In fact, rather stupid. You would actually want the main stairway to the upper levels either on the side here, but still that could cause, intrusions when the Lord is holding court. So better yet, outside of the hall itself. So you could have the main stairwell behind the door that should be here, blocking off this entryway. Maybe a stairwell that would lead it from this wall up. And you could have side exits to the hall, say here, leading to the true and proper stairwells leading up. That's all fine. Now, there is kind of like an extended mezzanine section. Do you see there? There's like a hallway that runs around and hugs this Great Hall. I don't mind that too much. I actually think it's a bit of a nice feature. In fact, when you're holding balls and other things like that in the main hall, having little alcoves where people can find a bit of privacy and, walk and just mingle is a pretty nice feature. So I have no problem with having this circling balcony kind of thing. My issue is that the access to it, like I mentioned, is there's the stairwell running right behind the Lord's chair. And then having rooms that run off to the side of this balcony, perfectly fine. It's actually an appropriate use of space in this sense if the inside matched the outside. And again, it doesn't. So there are arrow slits here. I just want to see where these arrow slits line up on the outside. Okay, those are the arrow slits that I was just looking outside of. And that room represented the furthermost corner of the internal layout of the castle. But as we see here, there's a whole huge tower right next to it. And, I'm assuming it is just filled up pure stone. There's actually no inside to this tower. It's a big waste of stone, waste of space, utterly nonsensical. It's like the game designers had an aversion to making the internals of these castles match the external. Because look, we are looking at a round tower, so we'll go in, and it's a mostly square room. In fact, I don't even think it could fit inside the circumference of this round part of the tower. But because they have the walls next to it, they just extend it outside of what the circumference of the round tower would be, which means there's actually not proper support for the upper battlements. I kind of like this side lookout tower. It adds, kind of like one last defensive fallback. If the whole keep falls, well then you can ultimately escape here, lock yourself in and wait for reinforcements, and have some food supplies to help you out. It's also a good lookout part for the, looking out to the sea, and it also just looks really cool as well. I really like this bailey or ward surrounding the keep. It's got some gardens, and it's open, fully surrounded by a defensive wall with towers appropriately spaced apart from one another. This is great. I think it's brilliant because historically, when a castle had enough room for it, there would be kind of the Lord's or Lady's garden just adjacent to the keep inside the actual walls of the castle itself. A very odd thing. See this small battlement just above the main gate here? What's interesting, and the way you find out this is later on in the game, is that the room that leads to this battlement right here is right outside the king's, or so he's the duke in the game, his main study. This is very odd. You would generally have access to battlements separate to the Lord's personal rooms. Or should I say, that is what you would want. With castles, you can generally find exceptions to most of the rules, but in a general sense you would always want the battlements separated in some way from the Lord and Lady's main livable quarters. And also, just another note on these battlements, those Merlons are too small, alright? They're not head height, which is weird because all the other Merlons are, so it's annoying. And of course, no matriculations. Interesting, while I'm up at the wall here, I have found these kind of trapdoors. There, and they run along. So I wonder if these are meant to mean that there are matriculations on the walls. Who knows, because from looking at them from underneath, there's nothing there. But this is actually something that I would choose to do. If I built a castle and put matriculations along the walls, I would actually put in wooden coverings to stop people from slipping through and falling down and then killing themselves. You would want, some type of covering to protect your people, and then they can remove these wooden coverings when under attack.
My final thoughts on the castle of Gran Soren, so not commenting on the city, just the castle citadel portion. Well, unfortunately, it's quite a mess. It loses a big point in how just ridiculous the internal layouts are compared to the external designs, which kind of ruins all the things that they got right, and it's sitting in the middle in terms of how well it is done, in my opinion. But there you go, this has been my historical analysis, also looking at the practicality and realism of the Citadel of Gran Soren. Thank you very much for watching, and if you would like to hear my thoughts on Gran Soren City, the layout and its defenses, please go watch that video, there is a link in the description. And what's interesting about this companion video is that my conclusions are actually quite different in regards to the city's execution and design compared to this Citadel. I do hope to see you there, and until then, farewell.
This character's companion's name is Morgana, and I tried to make her look like a witch, because she is a witch! She is very witchy. I know this because she turned me into a newt! Gold! Let's see if anyone has actually hired my pawn. It's been a while since I've played this character. And so that's the thing, you can make your companion your pawn, and other players of this game can hire them as a companion to help them out in their quests. The follower has returned from assisting another arisen in a realm. Oh, wow. Wow, she has been popular. This is how you get rift crystals in the game, the internal currency you use to hire higher level pawns. Let's see what people have said about my pawn. Nothing. That's just the standard rating if people aren't bothered saying anything. So nothing. They have said the battle rating was a little above average, but appearance and helpfulness, no. Yeah, she's better than that, alright? She doesn't require secret aid. You're biased. Something must have happened. Okay. I stand by with the fact that my pawn is good. Actually, she's a low level, so... What has this one said? Look at that! Highest ratings on all and exudes strength and valor! Highest appearance, battle, and helpfulness. As it should be. And again, highest ratings on all. And nothing, no one bothered to comment. Yes, I want to gain all the items that she's earned from her escapades in other realms. Oh, look at that, people gave me some pretty nice gear from this. That doesn't usually happen. I got a Conqueror's Mantle, Chaos Greaves, and a Wormfire Wizard face thingy. And she's learned how to fight other monsters more effectively. 11 unfamiliar foes that this character hasn't faced yet. And quests? Aha! My pawn's current rating, 1 below max. You performed admirably, Lady Lily, admirably. Yeah, I can't say admirably. Puff! My mouth isn't working. It's time to power things up. For the power of Grayskull! Swing. Oh yeah. That's the thing that I like about Mystic Knights. You can enchant your sword. Look at that. It's the sword of death.